In 1969, the astronauts conducted 3 alleged science experiments on the moon, one of which is still in operation today. It is the Lunar Laser Reflector, which allows a giant laser on Earth to be pointed at the Apollo 11 landing site. Then, it bounces back to the same place it came from on Earth. I traveled to the University of Maryland to meet the principal investigator, Professor Carol Alley.
Okay, we're here at the office of Professor Carol Alley.
Ranen?
Yes, how are you?
Oh,
nice to meet you in person.
The camera to your eye. Here is the Earth, and here is the Moon, and we have to send the laser beam through the atmosphere of the Earth, and the beam does diverge, and it will hit a spot a certain size on the Moon. We know that it's real because we know how long it takes to go to the Moon and back. It takes about 1.28 seconds of time to go to the Moon on the average, and another same time to come back. I'm demonstrating the retro property of the corner reflector. It returns the beam in the same but opposite direction. So it returns it parallel to the beam that's gone in, and you can see that here with these 2 beams. What's happening?
Are we moving?
We're moving. Kareem, what's happening?
I think we're moving.
If I can successfully bounce this laser off the reflector, it will be my best hard evidence yet. So it's off to the hills of West Texas, to the McDonald Observatory, one of only 2 places in the world which currently laser range off the moon. Laser ranging was originally used to measure the exact distance between the Earth and the Moon. And tonight, the crew here has agreed to once again aim for the Apollo 11 reflector.
Right underneath that spot is the Apollo 11 site, and Ken is adjusting the pointing of the telescope so we point as absolutely as we can to something that we can't see. That's why it's very difficult to do that. Our light's going from here to the moon and back. And these corner reflectors reflect the energy that strikes it back to the Earth. And if we're lucky, that energy comes back into our telescope and we detect it. Did you get another one? Yeah, he's got another one, another return. There's something important at this part of the graph, and that's these dots along here that are adding up. And to us, that means that we actually have received our light back from the reflector at Apollo 11.
You satisfied that we have reflected off the moon as technician here?
Yes.
Well, gentlemen, it's time for the moon laser victory dance.
All right,
here we go. All right, let's see those feet moving.
We got Apollo 11. We got Apollo 11. Give yourselves a hand. We did it. Almost believe it.
It turns out I celebrated a little too early, as I later discovered that the Russians had landed a laser reflector on this unmanned lunar probe. Could the Americans have done the same? The next day I wake up here in West Texas a little down about the Russian probe. So I take up an offer from a local cowboy historian to visit him on his ranch to talk about the Apollo 11 history I've uncovered.
So you got a lot of dead skulls all everywhere.
Yeah. This is a Rambouillet, a buck Rambouillet sheep from France. And you can tell by the number of curls that he was pretty old. This is a book on the 12th Armored Division, one of the 16 armored divisions we had in World War II, and that was the outfit that my cavalry squadron worked for. We were their recon. The Silver Star, yeah. It's for gallantry in combat. I had a bad day one time, and I got out of it all right.
Bill invites me to join him at a cross-cutting competition nearby. It's here I ask this decorated World War II veteran about Werner von Braun.
I don't feel too happy over the Berlin Wall going down, and anything German. I don't ride in Volkswagens here in the States. I can see why they took Werner von Braun because of his knowledge and they wanted to catch up with or exceed the Russians who got ahead of us with Sputnik. And I can understand that, but I don't like it.
My next stop is Pasadena, California, where I'm going to examine what is perhaps the most absolute proof available, the moon rocks, just like you see here. I head to Caltech, one of the most prestigious science institutions in the world, where Professor Gerald Wasserberg, original Apollo 11 moon rock scientist, agrees to help me out of my dilemma.
So where are we in right now?
Oh, you're in a clean room. And I'm going to show you moon rock. Here's the moon rock under there. I don't care if it's a Hollywood set. The rocks are not a Hollywood set. They're not from the Earth. They're not from any place near the Earth or made on the Earth. They're not synthetically made. They cannot be generated within the Earth. And they came back in a box marked from the moon.
I believe Dr. Wasserberg, but I'd also heard that you could find moon rocks in Antarctica in the form of meteorites. And I stumbled onto these photographs of Wernher von Braun in Antarctica 2 years before the Apollo 11 mission. I asked the professor, can you get moon rocks in Antarctica?
Well, I got a phone call once, a fellow at the Smithsonian, and he said, Jerry, we have now a meteorite which I just brought back from Antarctica, which is from the moon. I said, Brian, that's nonsense. Of course, I said something stronger than that. The whole assembly of scientists attacked this object, and at the end of a year and a half, the conclusion was, it was Uncle Sam. It was a moon rock. There was no question that it was a moon rock. It was unambiguously a moon rock, just as later one could identify pieces of Mars.
It seems far-fetched, but it's evidence I can't ignore. Why would von Braun need to travel to Antarctica? Right at the time he was allegedly perfecting the Saturn V moon rocket. All this doesn't make my job any easier, but my investigation has to move on. I still have questions that only Neil Armstrong himself can answer, so I traveled to Cincinnati, Ohio, where he now lives.
All right, 5 till 2 at 700 WLW. Mike McConnell. Guest again, Mr. Aron Ranen. Making a documentary film trying to prove we went to the moon. It's not all that easy to do, apparently. Our lines are jammed. Everything but the Neil Armstrong hotline, which today only is 749-3700. About 5 minutes left, Neil, to check in if you can. Donna, how are you?
I believe we went to the moon.
What proof do you have?
Well, I don't have any, but I just, in my heart, I believe that we did, and I don't think the American government would think that the American people would be that stupid.
What have you uncovered, Aron?
Well, I am trying to prove it. And really, I can't find any hard evidence. But I thought was going to be an easy thing to prove. Suddenly we have...
It's not all that provable.
It's not that provable. With no luck at the radio station, I head to Wapakoneta, Ohio, birthplace of Neil Armstrong and his boyhood home.
Did you know Neil Armstrong?
I don't want to make any commitments.
Oh, you knew Neil Armstrong? What was he like?
Nice guy.
Can I talk to you about it just for a
I
sec?
don't think so. I'm busy right now. I'm meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you ever meet Neil Armstrong?
Yeah.
How would you describe Neil?
I have no words for that. I don't know who you are, so I'm not there.
Hit the town.
I just met him.
You met him.
Why are people putting up a wall between me and Neil? I decide to try to learn more about this town.
The most redneck inbred town in America.
Inbred?
Hell yeah. St. Mary's is inbred. Walpock's just a bunch of rednecks. The KKK used to run this town at one time.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They used to have a There sign in the used to be a city sign, that said, if you was black, don't let the sun shine on your back. I ain't going to Walpock. There are a bunch of rednecks there. They'll kill me.
It was legal to beat up blacks after dark, if you were out after dark.
You call them after dark, you love people.
Yeah,
I think
no.
it's just been in the last couple of years, black people started coming to Walpock.
Yeah.
There's like 1 or 2 families, that's about it.